Hello and welcome to the Door 14 Hockey Podcast. My name is John. I am not Marty, but alongside me today I have Dave
Oh,
and Aaron.
Hey,
Guys, our fearless leader is nowhere to be seen because he's currently somewhere staggering around Edinburgh on a lovely holiday with his wife and his father-in-law. He
he
didn't
managed
see
a
fit.
few weeks with you not being in the country is what's happening, and he's decided to take an entire week to get his fill of John in Scotland.
Not even that. He even had to call in here today to get his, as you say, his fill of me. So we'll say. Guys, it's been a couple of weeks since the last podcast. We've started to see some hockey being played in anger now. Dave, how are things? How's the family? How's the hockey going for you just now?
great. We'll obviously be talking about the game, from last week very soon. We'll talk about a bit more, but yeah, it's just a bit of the same. More, getting back to September, families stuff, kids, school, blah 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 blah. Fun.
Awesome. Aaron, much the same for you, I expect.
Much the same. Son's way out to primary school, P1 this year, was a scary biscuits. That's been going great though. Even for me, I started a new job. That was good back in cyber. And it's been going great. I booked 2 trips to Boston today, so I have.
Ooh.
So I'm away to check after this pod what games are on.
Guaranteed they're going to be away. You can almost guarantee they'll be away.
You get a Providence game in if you need to,
Yeah,
good shout. And there's plenty of really good colleges in the Boston area who are known to occasionally play in Belfast. So there's definitely going to be some kind of hockey for you to see when you're there. It should
Hopefully.
be a cracker.
Yourself,
guys. Oh, great. Actually, nice week at work. Someone has seen fit to give me an extended long weekend this weekend. So got Monday off now, like a vast many people do. Guys, it is worth mentioning. Is it worth mentioning or is it not worth mentioning? We don't know. But I'm going to mention it anyway. Guys, obviously, the last week we had the passing of the Queen Elizabeth II. Led to a little bit of controversy in the hockey world. In the sporting world, let's say, with a lot of sporting leagues deciding to cancel or postpone games. The Elite League, along with a small number of other sports, however, decided to carry on and pay respects to the now former monarch by holding a 2-minute silence and the singing of the national anthem before the games. That was obviously made more interesting with the fact that you had a Scottish derby going on, an opening weekend of the Elite League, where the anthem would not normally be played. And you had the Belfast Giants playing in Europe, which we're going to talk about later on. But they showed a mark of respect before the game anyway, as agreed with the CHL. Doesn't look like there'll be any further impact to sports or anything as we go forward. So that's, I suppose, a good thing in itself. But we do mark the moment, the passing of the longest monarch to ever reign over Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So I think without dwelling too much longer on it, guys, I think we will we get stuck into the first period of hockey? Let's do it. Dave, hit it.
I double clicked when I should have single clicked.
Definitely keeping that in. Guys, in Marty's absence,
I can't believe there was no. That's what she said.
It's all going to pot. Marty's not here to keep us in check.
I think it's happened the last time he took a break.
Yeah. To be honest, the last time Marty was taking a break, I think we thought, right, we'll get this done in an hour. I think about 2.5 hours later, we ended up with the longest podcast we ever recorded. Hopefully we don't end up the same again, because the first person we'll hear about that from is going to be Mark and probably Campbell, but it's far too long. Guys, I'm taking over period one while Marty is off on his holidays. And we're going to start, as we absolutely should, by talking about the CHL and the Giants. This past Sunday saw the Giants take on European competition in the shape of Osilari Trinek. The result was a shootout victory for the Belfast Giants. Guys, I got the chance to watch it on Free Sports. Dave, I believe you were at the game.
I was.
Aaron, were you there at the game, or were you free sporting it?
I was free sporting and jumping around my kitchen. We'll get into that, so we will. But yeah, I was free sporting it.
Dave, you were obviously at the game. It was exciting, end-to-end hockey. The first period was probably on a par with any of the most exciting Giants games we have seen at the SSE. Oh, yeah. And that includes other European nights, including the Conti Cup final. I think we were close to it. It's a shame the building wasn't a little bit more full for that game.
The game, it wasn't sellout, but you would not have told that by the sound of the crowd. It was bouncing, and the entire game can be summed up by the Giants 5-on-3 early in the second, might have been the end of the first, and it was just pure grit from start to finish, and it was just a performance, probably a performance we haven't seen in quite a while, considering that this is a team that beat the Giants 4-0 at the start of the CHL competition. There's a great interview from Adam Keefe, and he talks about that he wasn't looking for a result, he was looking for a performance, and that's what he got. He got a performance, and it was fantastic. And I know we're going to talk about it, but a few, in my opinion, questionable calls from the refereeing on it. And I'd have to say there's questionable calls on both sides, but the ones against the Giants cost them the regulation win. And it's not pulling punches by saying that. That is just it's a cold hard fact when you look at the video.
Yep. Well, Aaron, just talking about that there then, let's look at that. The tying 2-2 goal, the Giants were leading 2-1, and there was a tying goal from Trinek, but the recordings of the game show a very, very clear hook on Giants defenseman. Referee is standing right behind the net in a perfect position to call the goal good, but he misses entirely the hook on the play. Is this double standards, European refereeing, or is it simply a mistake from the stripes on this one?
It's hard to say. You would love to say it was a mistake. It's always feel good about what's going on here, but as Dave said, there was quite a number of questionable calls. So with the number of questionable calls, I would feel it's a bit dodgy.
Yep. Yeah, there's a couple of things that happened in the game that would make me think that they were maybe trying to let the game flow, and then they suddenly went, "Oh, sure, we haven't called enough penalties in the last wee while. Let's get a few in," and then they try and let it flow again, and then that would happen because you get these wee flurries of penalties for both sides in like quick succession, and it just seemed a bit unnatural, if that makes sense. It got not against the flow of the game, and that's where you sort of see it, and yes, okay, I don't know how he missed it. Well, he's probably been looking at the line, but you'd think it wouldn't have taken much to realize what the heck was going on there.
No, exactly. I just want to thank Ryan Bevan for sending that through on Twitter and bringing that to our attention as well. I know that even at the time I was up and down and being very quiet and occasionally having to step away from the screen myself, dealing with my little girl. So I think I missed this goal, meaning that I missed that hook entirely. Dave, you've probably got the excuse of the fact that it happened away at the far end of the ice. Aaron, you've got absolutely no excuse. You said that you were engrossed in the entire game, so you really should have brought that to our attention. Not a fan. So I'll be honest, I'm bringing your podcast and credentials into.
Well, now that you've actually seen the video, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that there were some interesting calls being made throughout that game. So very similar to Dave. There were now. I was trying to find the game sheet there quietly to figure out who it was, but a Giants player was thrown out for a check to the head during this game as well, and that to me was a questionable call, and that was done on video review, which was clearly requested by Trinek. My query on this one is, why wasn't this, if there was a question on it? Now, call on the ice is goal. You can clearly see it at the moment of the goal. Call on the ice is goal. That's fine. A couple of the Giants players are looking at the ref. Now, surely if Trinek have got the option to call for a review on a check to the head, which, being totally honest, was not a check to the head. It was a clean shoulder-to-shoulder hit for me. And I know that shoulder-to-shoulder hits, they've been coming up on social media this week with something that came out through a couple of hockey social medias through the week. I'll throw that video up for you guys. I'll throw a link on so you can have a look at it just as we're chatting. But that call, I think that goal shouldn't have stood. If there's any question about it. Now, I will admit the Giants player does look like he tucks the stick under his arm. There's a little bit of back and forward between the two players anyway, but it is a screen and it is in the direction where the puck comes from. So to me, that's a play-altering hook. And any query on that goal should have been washed. And it should have been a regulation win for the Belfast Giants.
Me and Marty on the night with the check to the head were dumbfounded about it because it didn't really look like a check to the head from distance. It also took them a solid, say, 2-3 minutes after the check to decide they were going to call it back. And the refs didn't know. They took them forever to work out who the player was. So how can you say, "Oh yeah, it's a check to the head" if you didn't know who did it? Like you have to have looked at it properly. I think it was Tyler Soy.
I think it was. I was trying to find the game sheet, and
which is also so out of character. You know, it's not his style of play.
But this is my thing about it is, and we hear the argument every single time that an elite league team goes up against European opposition, that the European game is not a physical game. So the EIHL teams come undone because we play a North American physical game. Now, that argument doesn't wash with me anymore because we've been taking part in European tournaments for a long time now. Coaches, and clearly the likes of Adam Keefe, are building teams that can compete domestically and play the physical game that is demanded by the Elite League, but with an eye to a competition like this, and make sure that guys are drilled in a way that they're not going to get on the wrong side of the stripes in these games.
And the thing that gets me as well is, like, when you were watching that game, it did not feel any less physical of a game to watch. Like, it was very fast. The pace was through the roof. Wasn't as fast as the Davos game, to be fair, but it was still at a very high tempo, and there was still big checks being thrown.
I'll agree that the physicality was there, definitely, and I think that, no, I don't know if this is on the part of the CHL that they've realised that there's a difference in the leagues. Clearly, they are drawing officials from across the leagues that are taking part in the CHL. And we had Andy Dalton on the ice for this CHL game, a regular face in Belfast for Elite League and Challenge Cup games. So there's no argument there that maybe that game flowed and some of those hits were allowed because Andy Dalton was on the ice and he was wearing the orange stripes for that game. That being said, on the decision to throw the Giants player, whether it was or wasn't Tyler Soy, the referee who made the call was Andy Dalton. That was after video review. So again, to me, there's something not quite adding up with all that. But that being said, let's talk about highlights. Let's talk about Peyton Jones for a second. Dave, you were in the arena. Now, even watching on Free Sports and seeing a couple of them, there were some magnificent saves during that game, especially
aerobatic ones.
Especially during the 5-on-3 penalty kill, which resulted from the check to the head penalty, then a face-off violation that came straight after it at the reset of play. So it was a full 2-minute 5-on-3 that led on to an additional 3 minutes of 5-on-4. Peyton Jones pulled that team by their ankles through those penalty kills.
100%. He was the best player on the ice that night. He played every minute, probably every second, at the best. One of the best performances I've seen for a Giants goalie in a while, and that's even talking about best goal and stuff. Like, he just seemed to be on a different level. What I would say is that the Giants team itself was blocking shots like it was a playoff final.
This was a point I was going to make. He was a wall, but so were some of the defense guys. They were just throwing themselves.
The stuff that was getting through to him were quality shots, but it meant he only had to worry about getting those quality shots. Everything else was bouncing off Giants players left, right, and center.
Yep, and you've both highlighted the next thing that was on my list to talk about from this game, which was blocking shots and putting bodies in lanes. One guy, yet again, for another season, is standing out already by putting his body on the line, and we know that it cost him the back end of his season last year, and that's Kevin Rain. Kevin Rain stood on his head again and was getting in the way of shots that nobody has any right of putting their body in the way of. He is an absolute superstar when it comes to blocking shots. I know that last year with his Rainer Razor, the number of blocked shots that he had, which amounted to a monetary amount that went to a couple of selected charities, mental health charities last year, he cost some people an absolute fortune with blocking shots.
I would have to have at least like 2 meters of bubble wrap wrapped around me to get me to stand in front of a puck being shot.
Peyton got hit in the clangers early in the first, and it was like the collective groan from everybody behind the net. I was like,
So let's move on then to the shootout. Shootout was a proper ding dong. Agree with it or don't agree with it about a way to finish a game. There is no denying that was a fantastic bookend to that game. It would still be nice to see it settled by skaters on the ice, traveling up and down. But Peyton Jones, once again, showing his class in some of the stops that he made. And finally, with Mark Cooper slotting home, I think in either round 11 or 12 of the shootout, when it went to sudden death. Absolutely fantastic from everyone involved on that one, but especially once again Peyton Jones.
The entire shootout was unreal. Any goals that were scored on that night against Turek were all stellar. Their netminder, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, was unbelievable, and he's just pure class, like stat wise. It's unreal, like some of the games he's played. And he's in that team and in the CHL for a reason, and it's he performed really well. I just think that, in my opinion, the Giants were just the better team on the night, especially when you look at that shootout. You know, yes, we only scored one more as such, but like, you come in after all that game and everything that was put on the line, first shot gets you a goal. You know what I mean? And that's how it all just ran from there. A few good blocks, but you know, once you started seeing a few go in, you knew the Giants were going to win it.
I probably wouldn't be the only person to walk away from that game going, well, I know what name I'm going to get on the back of my jersey this year.
Yeah, another goalie cut jersey for the Giants faithful. Guys, just to round this off, I want to throw one interesting stat at you from that game. Going into that game, Trinec were the leading PK team in the CHL with a 100% PK rate. They killed every penalty against them leading up to that game until they came up against the Belfast Giants. So, just as an aside, if you're a Belfast Giants fan, and like we have complained for the last couple of years about the power play, there you go. We can score goals against the top penalty killing team in the CHL. There you go. Take that to the bank. Dave, I'm going to come to you next. We are coming over to my side of the IRC here and over to the Edinburgh Capitals, and a familiar face is going to lace up wearing the lion.
The return of Ross Dalglish to the Edinburgh Caps after an illustrious career that's taken him all over the United Kingdom, including a stretch for the Belfast Giants. It'll be he's one of the names that you were sort of going, I always liked him in the lineup. He only played one season, and I think he only played away games. I don't think he played any home games for the Giants, but it was an injury plagued season under Doug Christensen, and it was he came in and he filled a big spot in the lineup, and Ross was probably, in my opinion, one of the guys that whenever you come into a team and you have to do something like that, it's really difficult, and he done a stellar job. And he done a stint in the Panthers, I think, as well, and obviously having played for the Caps as well. So it's really good to see these names that are still knocking around. It makes me feel absolutely ancient that he's obviously younger than me at 34, but he's like a veteran talent going into that team, you know.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. He obviously the piece that we've seen from the Capitals says at 34 years old, Ross will bring a wealth of experience on the lineup. So they're clearly looking at him being a veteran leader guy. Guys, he's younger than all of us, and like I know I'm the baby of the podcast at 35, but that just makes you feel ancient. Like it's only a year on me, but
there's a story coming up in the next period that makes me feel even older.
Good, can't wait.
Yeah,
it's probably important to mention as well that not only does he bring all that experience, he actually brings his name on a cup as well. The season that he spent with Nottingham, they won the Challenge Cup.
That's true. Yes.
So, and it's the old Challenge Cup too, before it was lost, and the Riddler's mind control device was commissioned by the Elite League. Guy.
So what's happening with the Edinburgh Capitals then at the moment? I joined, there was talk of it, but now
so that's what I was gonna just kind of come on to. There is the Caps are back. The Caps will be competing in the SNL this season. There's been no public chat anyway about the Caps stepping back up potentially to Elite League, but I think it's fair to say that the expectation is there amongst the Elite League fan base to see a team from Edinburgh back in the Elite League. And let's be honest, I think the feeling across the league is, perhaps me reading too much into it, is that we would prefer that to be in the shape of the Capitals rather than the team who basically kicked them out of their own rink a couple of seasons ago and who no longer seem to be trading after everything that went down in the COVID area when they had their beef with the Dundee Comets. So yeah, they will be competing. I actually saw some chat from them on their social media. Their camp has begun. Some SNL games have been played already. I believe the Kestrels here in Kirkcaldy are back on top already, defending their title. I'll be honest, I probably will end up down at a couple of Kestrels games this year, mostly because they tend to do a lot better than the Flyers, and I'd rather pay the entry fee to watch the Kestrels be successful than the Flyers be horrendous like they have been the last few seasons. But look, I'll give them time. I'll give the Flyers time. It's the start of a new season. It could go really well for them. Could.
You're telling me that Giants jersey could be coming down for a Flyers
Absolutely
jersey?
not. Absolutely not. Not in the slightest. I may occasionally wear a Kestrel's jersey. I will not wear a Flyers jersey. Philadelphia or Fife, let me just say. Guys, with that, we wrap up the first period of hockey and we will move on to period 2.
Hello and welcome to period 2. And I just want to comment. See, playing those videos. It's a single click. It's weird. It's not double click. It's single click to get those videos to play for the period break. Anyway,
that seems okay. Marty's currently listening, going, and
just feels like it should be something that's double click, but okay.
Oh, is this why it played and then stopped earlier?
Yeah.
Right.
I was trying to work out why it didn't work.
What's the relevance?
Everyone who's currently listening is loving the insider chat about the podcast.
Yep. That's all. It's all they've wanted to know, but we're always afraid to ask.
How does he do that? It's a single click.
Single click. Hashtag single click. Anyway, right. I will do my story, and then we'll move on. John has kindly provided us a swath of pieces, but I will start with mine, and that is taking us to over to Calgary, to the Saddle Dome, which apparently is falling to pieces. It's the second oldest arena in the NHL and oldest in Canada, still in operation. 1986, 1985, something like that. It was erected, but apparently the mortar is starting to crumble and break away, and parts of the roof have started to fall off. And they had to get a comment from somebody involved with the Saddle Dome who said that there is no structural concern. That's all he said. It's like, reading between the lines is, there's no structural concern yet.
This reminds me of Victoria Square. Did Victoria Square not have
the apartments? They were like, those apartments are absolutely fine. Then a week later, they were falling down. 1983, it was built. Sorry, it was a wee bit early. But they have been told that they will need to instigate a series of repairs to prevent it worsening or failing, which is a terrifying idea considering it's the planned home for the Calgary Flames this season, in an arena that they need to do serious construction work.
Hang on, I'll just do some work here for the Calgary Flames. Stay with me. Just looking up college teams that they can go and use their arena.
2,000 seater or below,
Yeah, let's follow the Arizona Coyotes business method here. That's pretty interesting. It is.
Have you seen how much it's going to cost to fix it? So
the chats I've seen is that I think the figures in this piece are actually that they're looking at spending $550 million to build a new arena.
Right.
Not the repair bill. I think what they're looking at is that there would be a new arena, a new Saddle Dome, effectively. If they were gonna do that, guys, I'll be honest, I'd pretty much like them to rebuild a slightly bigger Saddle Dome because it's probably one of the nicest looking arenas. I know it gets slated. Outside, it's a really weird shape and there must be a design reason for it in a place that
it's a Pringle, right?
Yeah,
it looks like a Pringle.
It looks like a Pringle. To be honest, there's a business waiting to sponsor a new building if it's not like that.
The Calgary Pringles.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
Something like that.
A lot happens in the frozen north.
It was a random piece that I came across and thought I just had to share. So I will. It's you, the one, John. Is that correct? Which one would you like to start with? You pick.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stay over in North America at the minute because I think not so much to chat about this, guys, but I think it's an important one to talk about, is the fact that Lunk is back in the NHL. Henrik Lundqvist is returning. Unfortunately, not on the ice. But he's heading home. He's heading back to New York. And he'll be working in Madison Square Gardens for the Rangers, but also in a wider role with MSG Entertainment and MSG Sports. So
the oldest rink in the NHL, by the way.
Yep.
Segue.
Sidebar from Dave there. So he'll be working on the sports brand. He'll be looking at corporate sponsorship. He'll be looking at outreach and charity work that MSG, the Rangers. I would also imagine the clearly I'm not a basketball fan,
Knicks.
but the Knicks, is it, that play
Knicks,
out there?
Is it the Knicks or the Nets?
So be one of them.
Probably just
or actually it could be both. Does MSG host two teams? But either way, who cares? So they are sorry, my computer started talking to me. I really hope nobody else heard that, but all I could hear was my computer talking to me in my ears, and I completely lost the run of what I was saying. Lunk is back. He's in New York. He's working for MSG. There we go. Let's move on. Thank you very much, Siri.
Well, he is
Mr.
Mr. Rangers,
New York
like,
Knicks.
so.
New York Knicks.
New York Knicks. Look at I was right. Awesome. Lundqvist being back there, it just makes so much logical sense because he is just the face. He was the face of that franchise, and he has had he's such a big impact in New York. I'm sure anybody who even in the city that isn't even an NHL fan probably knows who he is, and I think it's a logical choice. I think it'll be
if you could have any Giants player back like this,
doing that sort of role. Steve Thornton, he's already doing it.
Oh, that's fair. As soon as I was asking the questions, like, yeah, I think anyway, it doesn't matter.
Georgia Wada, he's back doing assistant coach.
True. Yep. Very true. Very true. But that's,
by the way,
that's the thing, isn't it?
Did you see him on the bench during the CHL game?
Only a couple of little clips of him.
He's still a monster of a man. He's huge standing beside Kiefer. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, but there's a saying about muscle doesn't leave or something. Muscle memory. I can't remember what it is. It'll come back to me, and I'm sure it bears absolutely.
I'm such a Jim Gore. I'm so muscly. I don't even know the sayings.
That might be the saying. What I was going to say is it's good you can see it across all levels of the sport that these guys who become so entrenched in a franchise and are identified as a franchise guy can almost rely on a life after their playing career. So we've seen it multiple times in the NHL with a whole host of different people. We're seeing
way
it
back was
now.
Gordie Howe when he was in Detroit, was head of corporate relations or something daft, just to keep him there, and then he went and left anyway.
You're seeing it more recently with Lunk, and you see it in the Elite League. Some teams you don't have to look too far to see that happening. On the Giants, you've got Adam Keefe, you've got Rob Stewart, you now have George Wada.
Had Kelman before that.
Kelman, yeah.
You've had Todd Kelman. And you're starting to see it now with coaches being drawn from former playing staff. Cardiff Devils, for example, bringing in a full-time bench coach from what was their assistant player coach and has now stepped up behind the bench and looks to be doing a very, very good job so far. Again, Todd Kelman taking his experience, not a franchise guy in Cardiff by any means, but he's taken that, he's gone across to Cardiff, and I think probably now we're getting to the stage where he can be considered more a Cardiff Devils franchise guy now. He never played for them, but he's now in that position that he is probably Mr. Cardiff at this point, unless it's a final that the Giants are playing against anyone but Cardiff, and then he's probably Mr. Belfast again. I'm going to then bring it across to another story, guys. And we are heading back to Canada, and we are looking at Montreal. A couple of stories came out of Montreal this week. The first was the announcement of the new captain for the Montreal Canadiens. They named Nick Suzuki as the youngest captain in Canadiens history. 23 years old, guys, and leading one of the most storied history teams in the National Hockey League. What do you say about that, Aaron?
Absolutely well done to him. Like we're all for the viewers that are listening to us rather than watching us. Dave and I are just sitting here shaking our heads in absolute like disbelief, but also in absolute awe. To be fair, as well. 23 years old. That's just.
Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted to do for my life at 23. Never mind captain of the team.
I don't know what I want to do with my life now.
So, what I want to bring up with this is it's an interesting one. Suzuki made his NHL debut with the Habs in the 2019-20 season, which, as we all know, became curtailed. He has posted 209 career NHL games. That's not a lot to bring obviously 23 years old. He is young. He's not going to have a lot of games, but just over 200 games, and he's named as your franchise captain. Dave, what is this here? Is this a stunt for the fans? Is this an actual considered move by the Habs? Is he the best person for the job? Now, obviously, we're not Habs fans. We're not going to know the roster inside and out. But is a 23-year-old guy going to have the room?
I wonder if this is I don't want to say ploy, but a plan to have a more long-term captain. Hoping like Shea Weber, how long's he been there? 4 years?
Oh, 4 years since the trade, and he's now gone. He's retired.
So you know what I mean? So they got him in, kick captain, they retired a couple of years. Maybe they're hoping that they can build. By giving him the C, he'll be so ingrained in the team that he just won't want to go anywhere else, and that they can build the team around him as a captain. And
does that work?
I don't know.
Sorry, Dave. Does this work in a league where
normally it's the other way around?
Yeah. Does this work in a league where contracts under the CBA can't be any more than I think it's 8 years? So by that point, this guy's only going to be knocking on the door of 30. He's still going to have a career ahead of him. If he becomes an unrestricted free agent, does he stay just because they made him the captain at that age, or is this part of their ploy? Are they looking to create a franchise guy that no matter what, treat this guy right from the start? He's high skilled. I think he's 14th pick in the first round in 2018, 2017 draft. He was by Vegas, which am I right in thinking was that their expansion draft? 2016 or 2017 was their expansion draft. But I don't know in this league. I can't fathom this move for a guy so young with so little NHL experience. Granted, he's got, what did I say, 209 career NHL games? That's 209 more than I'm ever going to have, but I'm never going to be the captain of the Habs. It seems like a very, very odd move.
Yeah, I have to agree
that it's the vibe. Like, that sounds daft, but he's joined the team and he is just gelled with the team. And during practices, he's leading and he's showing that he can. Is there more behind the scenes that we're just not seeing here? Again, of course, you can always look at, is it a power move or whatever's going on, or is it a move to make him that he's here for a career? Maybe there's more to it. Maybe he's just really good with the rest of the team, and the rest of the team look up to him, and he gives them great advice, and he makes great plays.
Could be. It's an interesting one. I'm going to move on, guys, because that wasn't the most controversial thing that came out of Montreal this week. So I believe at the back end of last season, we did talk about the fact that the NHL is either finally or regrettably is moving forward with its process to allow on-jersey adverts. The first team who seem to have moved forward with this are the Montreal Canadiens, who unveiled their home jersey, including their brand new sponsorship patch on the right side chest of their jersey with a company called RBC. Guys, I posted the link to this, and I've sort of thrown up the image there for you. That's not an NHL jersey to me.
It's a bit strange, yeah.
My biggest problem with it is it's the Habs. Any other team, any newer team, I think I could sit okay. If that was Vegas, if that was Seattle, if that was even Nashville and Minnesota, Dave, I think I could make my peace with it. Also, I'd like to see it designed better to fit with the brand, because the fact that it's a different color and everything that makes it stand out so gaudily on that jersey. But
it feels like a rugby shirt
jersey,
now for some strange reason, doesn't
it? That's the other thing. The image they've used looks like an incredibly neat jersey, like a really fitted jersey, and that doesn't help the image. But that patch looks horrendous on that jersey. That storied history on that jersey that logo represents, that patch being on there looks wrong. That looks like a one-off charity game NHL jersey. And what they've actually done is create something that actually looks worse than the Sheffield Steelers advertising jerseys, in my opinion. Like I would rather see
almost
it
looks
covered.
like it looks like flip, we forgot to put some advertisement. Right here, Granny, sew something onto this, would you?
Yeah.
In my opinion, what they should have done is went with something, even if it was the same patch, but stuck it on the back, like between the shoulder blades or something above the name, and then that way it's not on everyone's, because it's obviously going to shock everybody. But it was going to happen. It was always going to happen, because of the rising in salaries, and there is a fall in some of the seat numbers in some of the regions in the NHL, so they need to recoup the money somewhere else. One thing that the Royal Bank of Canada did is they will be donating $20 for every jersey purchased to the Montreal Canadiens Children's Foundation.
Very good.
So there is something really positive coming out of that being on the jersey, as well as obviously making the Habs a lot of money.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that one place you think that it could go. Where else? Like if it had to go somewhere on the front, don't like it up there. Or would maybe talking like the bottom left,
corners,
bottom right,
or
corners.
sleeves maybe. Yeah. Up in the sleeve would work as well. Where you'd normally put like an alt logo. You could throw it up there. You won't see it as much, but you will see it in things like highlights and replays, which is what the sponsor wants.
You can still do your advertising photos where they're at the side,
exactly
shoulder.
Exactly, yeah. And it means that you're not. I know that the placement will be dictated as part of the cost and how much they're given to the Habs, but you would think they would have maybe eased it in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Sort of,
Are we seeing it going to get to the point that it's going to be like our own jerseys, where
it'll be more like
sponsorship
football,
everywhere?
I think it'll be more like football and rugby. There'll be one sponsor, but it won't be in the sense they won't have like one big sponsor. It'll just be like one team sponsor, and then that, because they already have every team in the league already has a one like primary sponsor, and it usually goes around their logo on center ice. On the outside, it usually has something. Like it's for the Wild, it's Wells Fargo. Goes around the center ice circle, so it's it would be the equivalent of the Stena Line Belfast Giants. It's the same sort of idea, and I'm assuming that whenever you see the rink, that the RBC will probably be on the center ice as well, or around.
Well, funny you talk about the Wild, Dave. If you have a look in the chat, what I've just been able to find is an image. This is breaking news from about 2 weeks ago.
From 2 weeks ago.
From 2 weeks ago. This is from the rookie showcase This is a Minnesota Wild jersey with an advertising patch for Tria Orthopedics, I believe.
Oh yes, yeah, I see this.
So, to be fair, the Habs have gone with a bank. You guys have gone with people who deal with feet.
we're called the Wild for a reason, you know. It's a Wild sponsor. Yeah. At least it's the right green.
This was my thing. Is that has been done to match the design to not to be there and be noticeable, but not stand out and not be the most important thing on the jersey. That Habs one almost looks like it's taken over the jersey because it's so step with the rest.
That RBC, that blue, and that is it gold or is it yellow?
Gold, yeah.
Sorry. Like that's going to be the RBC colors.
Yeah.
You know, where the Wild one is that it's obviously the squares or the diamonds that are the logo. They had the option to fill it in with the green.
Yep.
So I'm guessing that by comparing the two jerseys together, are we seeing that area,
location.
that location has been spotted? This is where the advertisement will go on every single NHL jersey.
Is that Bateman?
So I think it'll be part of that. It's also the owners will be looking to this because this is a revenue stream for the owners, certainly not the players. And there may be some money that goes into the league, but let's bear in mind that every team is going to have its own sponsor. If it was a league-wide thing and we had one sponsor on all of the 32 teams' jerseys, you would say that would be Bateman, and that would be him raking in money from a major sponsor. But I would assume that this is the owners. I don't think we can lay this one at Bateman's feet, unfortunately, as much as I'd love to. Dave, that's me for period 2 then.
I was about to say that. Anybody else? Anything they want to speak or forever hold your peace? Nope.
All good here.
We will swiftly move on to period 3 when I can find the video.
It's a single click, remember? Sorry,
you know what the problem was? Marty's numbered these 1 intro, 2 period 1, 3 period 2.
Period 2, 4 period 3.
So I was about to click period 2 again.
Oh dear. Well,
he's going to kill us like when he listens to this.
Unless John just cuts all of it out.
Nope.
No.
Like I said earlier. Like I said earlier, it's all staying in.
Everything stays.
That is the title, like 100%. It's all staying in.
Everything stays. Well, welcome to period 3. Since John is our host today, I get the lovely joys of telling you all about our good old Knocky News.
Knocky News.
We're going to have to find, like, is there a countdown timer on this stream deck that we can count it down and all say Knocky News at the same time?
I think that defeats the purpose of what we do now.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. Cool. True. On that, we have a couple of stories here, but because we've just talked about jerseys, I thought we could continue on talking about jerseys. I like the banner, Dave. Well done.
Marty doesn't let me use these.
Oh, let's scrap the period. What else does Marty not let you use on the stream deck?
This one?
Let's do it. John, do you want to tell the audience what's on the screen right now?
The screen just said, "Shut up, John."
Oh.
Come on, we're talking about jerseys here. Come on.
Talking about jerseys, yes. So we've just talked about jerseys. Dave, you have another story here about a new jersey.
Yes. So while we're it's easier if I just show you. Let me just. Yeah, it would have been good if I prepared this earlier, but.
Come on, hurry up and Blue Peter this.
Here's one I could have prepared earlier.
Oh, yep.
Oh,
there we go.
Okay.
Wow.
So
Now it's a load of text.
There's a jersey. Sick. So the so the San Jose Sharks have unveiled their season jersey.
How that happened. Blink and you'll have missed it.
Yes, it was so seamless.
So seamless. So Dave, with almost no time or effort, just threw up this shared screen if you're watching the YouTube version. Unfortunately, there was a lot of dead air if you're listening to the audio podcast. I'm very sorry about that.
So, San Jose Sharks have unveiled their new jersey, which to the untrained eye is a bit plain and a bit dull. And to be fair, I thought the same. I was like, oh, I don't know if I really like that or not. And they also unveiled a video, which I'm going to mute. But if you pay attention,
otherwise we're going to get banned on YouTube.
It won't be the quality because it's coming through my chair. But if you look at the coloured sense on the jersey, and it froze, amazing. There you go. They're not solid. They're tidaled. They're like rippled. They look like water.
This might be the most Door 14 feature that we've ever done.
100%.
What looks like water?
The bands on the arms and the bottom, and then around the shoulders, them just being plain. They're rippled with like beaded.
Oh, so they are right. Yes, you do not get that from the picture. You do not get that from the picture.
I think it adds so much more to the jersey than it had without it. And I think it changes it from being just a plain old hockey jersey to something a bit special, a bit like what the Giants have done with the Giants Causeway print and the Devils did with the Cardiff fade, but they have taken it that wee bit further and actually embossed something into their jersey to add quality, to make it a bit different from everybody else's without just being, oh, we'll throw in a weird color or we'll throw in this, because San Jose's color is that really blue teal, and it's a big part of their identity. It's in their logo and everything, and it also ties into obviously because they're the Sharks, the sea, and having that whole, because even their alt logo is the fin in the water and all. I think it's some real intelligent thinking's went into that one, rather than just going, oh, the same old colors, we'll just leave it there.
Yeah. I like it, but it's gonna look awful as soon as an advertising patch goes on it.
You're not gonna get a color. Advertisement's gonna match that color.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know. Like, I don't get it when they try to redo all of these sort of. They call it a heritage jersey. Like, I've seen a few teams have been coming out with like heritage jerseys and going back to the roots and everything. And like, I think that even this story talks about the Sharks going back to digging into their roots, where basically they've just embraced the teal. Like, you've never not embraced the teal, San Jose. Let's be perfectly honest. It might be a nice little design feature, and that's all fine. Like, we've gone through periods in Belfast where our jerseys were trash. Like, the design aesthetic that went into our jersey was horrendous. The back end of using our old logo, it was starting to get really, really bad. Like, the quality,
some of the colors,
print quality.
as well, though.
Yeah, exactly. The print quality, the colors, everything was just starting to get away from them. And that's fine. We could say now with our rebrand that we've gone back and re-embraced the teal because somebody actually looked at our color palette and realized that we weren't teal anymore. This one, I don't know. They're businesses, don't get me wrong. Jerseys exist to identify a team and to sell jerseys to fans. Doesn't matter what team you are, whether it's NHL, whether it's Elite League, or whether it's EIHA. I don't care who it is. You're designing these jerseys to make money. Put some thought and effort into it, though, please.
It seems to be that all the NHL jerseys...
They're doing that. They're doing that callback, but they're still putting a modern well, a modernish spin on it by doing some sort of nice embossing and stuff like that. So it's keeping with the faith of the style of the jerseys, but putting a newer spin on it. I quite like it.
I quite liked it too. Yeah, I thought it was quite nice.
It's okay. I don't mind the design and everything is totally fine. Those elements are fine. What rubs up against me more of that is that they're saying that they're going back to the roots and they're evolving and all the rest of it. Quite honestly, if you put that up and didn't tell me it was a new jersey and put it up against a San Jose jersey from 3 seasons ago, I probably couldn't tell you that it was new or it was this revolutionary thing in their brand, because it doesn't. And that's coming from a fan of a team who has gone through a limited rebranding over the last 2 years. The Giants have gone through an element of rebranding where we've gone to this logo as opposed to the old cartoon fin. That's an evolution. The thought process was laid out in front of the fans. It was the organization growing up. It was moving on to the next phase of being a pro sports team. This is
it too subtle
for money? Yes, I think it's what my thing is.
So, as you're saying there, when we saw the picture, everyone went, right, it's their normal jersey. But as Dave had to play the video and go, here, no, really, really look, it's embossed. Where
if you have to explain it to that detail, you haven't done it right.
Well, there's also
the Giants jersey that has the Causeway print on it. Like that's you can straight off tell from afar from the picture that's
made
what
sense.
It is.
So I have they started that with the warm-up jerseys. They started that with the warm-up jerseys about 4 or 5 seasons ago. Now I have a Matt Toe warm-up jersey that has the block hexagonal work that was done on it. That was making a statement. That was changing things. That was when things were going pretty well, and then it started to really suffer and the quality started to go down. But now look where we are with this stuff. Now this is lovely. This is sexy. This is fantastic branding. These are brilliant jerseys. In fact, Dave, you have an even better one because you have the stitched version, which is possibly the sexiest jersey the Giants have ever put out.
I have to say the Challenge Cup game issue jersey they got is phenomenal. It's probably one of the best design jerseys that I own, or close to one of the best design jerseys. A few that I would say are nostalgia tinted glasses would pull me towards it, but the quality, the finish and everything is just fantastic, and even the presentation. Like whenever they were giving it to me, I didn't get it in like a plastic bag. It came in a proper embossed Giants box with tissue paper and all, and like it was a sort of a proper handover. It was a good job. Like
almost one thing, like when you lift up your Apple phone, or you get
the same sort of thing.
That experience. Yeah.
One thing I would say about the San Jose thing is that.
John's camera.
Sorry.
John's okay. His camera has just fallen, or there was an earthquake.
I am moving to.
It's because we were talking about how good Apple was for the first time. Just shut it.
I'm gonna be honest. No, I've had to move to my backup camera. The camera itself is working absolutely fine. The only way I could set this up properly was to put it on my gimbal. The battery has clearly just given out on the gimbal, and my phone is just dangling over there. So apologies to anyone who's watching. I've gone from really good high quality to webcam. So yeah, that was funny.
So back to my point. The San Jose Sharks have the thing that they have that I think the Giants always missed, and all the teams in the Elite League, is that the San Jose Sharks don't expect, and a lot of the League or the NHL teams are the same, they do not expect their fans to buy a jersey every year. They want them to be able to buy one jersey and then have it for 2 or 3 years, 4 years, because they don't change. The best example of that was my red Minnesota Wild jersey. That was their same jersey for, I think, 9 years. And they didn't change it. Like there was no changes to it. At all. and they only changed it whenever they done their 10-year anniversary with remember the Minnesota was written on it.
Oh yeah.
And that's that was them then changing and going more with the green, and now they've stuck now with the same green jersey since Adidas, and they haven't changed it. They're not planning on changing it, and it's all to do with they don't, because they're so dear, nearly $200 some of them, and they want you to buy one and stick with it, but they want you to buy one. For example, if this one here looks very similar, if they're on the arena, it'll just look like they've all got the same jersey, but whenever you do buy one, they want it to be different enough that it's new, but not different enough that everybody else knows that they have to go out and buy a new jersey.
Oh, look, I mean, that branding question, we talked about this back when Glasgow rebranded. And look, we walked away from that argument because the Giants then did it again themselves. Like we absolutely ripped into Glasgow because they changed logo, they changed identity, they effectively made it look like they changed the city that they were playing in, from a little outskirts place somewhere out to the west of Glasgow to saying that they're in Glasgow when they're clearly lying. They're in a different council area. The Giants then did it, and look, yes, there is an element of that, Dave. Like you're saying, you can go a number of years, you can go a decade in the NHL, and if you bought a jersey 10 years ago and still wear it to the games, you generally won't look any different to anyone in the crowd who's wearing that season's jersey unless there's been a massive change. Like the only thing that would possibly do that is if everyone was out buying home jerseys and then they did the color swap with white no longer being the home and color being your away. That whole thing that does have a massive element of, when your arena's full, you can do things like the Giants have done, like a teal rush. You can do that because most of your fans will have that home jersey. But if you change identity all the time, then you start losing something. If you change design too often, something changes. But the NHL, what that proves is quality will out. So quality design. And this again comes back to what we were talking about before with these advertising blocks now being on the jersey. That's something that's going to be missing from NHL arenas now as people buy jerseys. We don't know how long these sponsorship deals are. Is it just for a year and then does it change? So are you now going to be able to identify all these different little color blocks on people's jerseys all around NHL arenas? As if you were looking at the Sheffield Steelers yet again, with like seizure-inducing different colors of jerseys and advertising all over the arena, everywhere.
Do you think there's a rush right now for people to go out and buy the jerseys as they are now without sponsorship?
I would say
there's a bigger rush on Chinese jerseys.
I'm
being totally honest. If you're like me and you've got your Nashville Predators jersey, if they start to mess with the brands too much, that's exactly what will happen. Sports gear is already expensive, and people are strapped for cash. And if you're paying for a season ticket, even if it's elite league, if you're paying for a season ticket, that's £300-500 more if you've got a family ticket. You put on top of that an expensive jersey as well, but if you've got the option to buy it cheap, you'll buy it cheap, as long as it looks the part.
I think that's my Chinese jersey there. Good for podcasting as I point over my shoulder.
This is a legit.
I have one.
I do have a legit. Yes,
I have one proper Chinese jersey, and it was the worst buy. That's class. I love that jersey. It was the worst buy that I ever got. It was meant to be the wild white with the black ties, and it came out and it didn't look anything like the jersey. It was just like some kid that sort of had only ever seen a crayon drawing of the jersey and then had to make it. And they got the wrong name on the back, and they got the wrong number. So they got a name of a wild player, but they put it. There was a number 14, so that should have been Eriksson Ek, and they put somebody else on it. But they had the 14, so it was like the whole, getting Wayne Gretzky with 98 on it, But yeah, that was a bit random for you.
Very good. Well, that was a good old talk about jerseys. So
You wouldn't think it's our favorite topic to talk about on this podcast, would you?
Not at all, not at all. But we will move on. We actually only have the two left, or two stories left, that were put in by good old Marty. So thanks very much for this. One of them I'm going to start off with has its. Oh, what are you showing us here?
Ooh, very nice. For anyone not watching, that's a Boston Bruins number 22 Thornton jersey signed.
Yeah. From a non-Boston fan. Don't ask me why I have it. I don't know.
When did you get that?
I have no idea. I bought it sometime when it was obviously Stocious.
Did you buy that from Oxo?
No, that's actually one of the few that I hadn't bought Oxo.
Anyway, going on with the stories. Fortunately, this is not containing jerseys, but it does have echoes of a Jamaican bobsleigh team. So it does. Based on everyone, if anyone says Jamaican bobsleigh team, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're talking about the good classic 1993 film Cool Runnings. Mm-hmm. So I'm expecting a Disney film based on this particular story out in the next few years. Has anyone got to read this particular article yet before I go into it?
I've read bits and pieces of it. So this is if you want me just to rattle on and give a basic blurb.
Sure, if you want to, go for it.
Story. So this is the story of the Stanley Penguins, the hockey team based in the Falkland Islands, who will be competing at the Amerigol Lantam Cup, which starts in Miami on Thursday. However, they will be competing having not stepped foot on the ice because there is no facility in the Falkland Islands. They do all of their training on wheels, on rollerblades.
So it's not the ice as in that rink. It's they've never stepped on ice.
Pretty much. Yep. So hence the comparisons to the Cool Runnings guys who never competed on ice until they got to the Winter Olympics. The rest of the time, they were basically pushing a bobsleigh on wheels down a hill to get ready for that competition. These guys have been practicing on wheels to go out on the ice. If anyone who's listening, as unlikely as it is, happens to be in Miami and can film these guys going on the ice for the first time, please do, because I'd pay good money to see what happens when they hit the ice for the first time. That said, enough taking the mick.
I was about to say, talk about the jersey.
Yep, enough taking the mick. The jerseys are absolutely fantastic. They are, I want to say, Gintu penguins that they've used because that is the penguin that you get in the Falkland Islands. So that's why that's why they've chosen it. It's either the Gintu or it's the rock hopper. Point out the guy who works in natural sciences here. It's
I was
one
just
of those
say
ones
it's the penguins with massive eyebrows.
It's the one from Happy Feet.
Happy Feet, that's the movie.
It's the one. It's the one Robin Williams voices in Happy Feet. That's how I know it.
You can't tell that your kids are slightly older than mine.
Slightly.
I haven't got that. I haven't got that far yet.
When you're watching it on the,
I watched Happy Feet before Theo came along. I've got to admit.
Welcome to the Happy Feet Hour with Door 14 Hockey.
Yeah. But that is that's a really nice jersey.
It's a really nice jersey, and absolute best of luck to the guys whenever they hit the ice. I believe they will be on the ice probably anytime now. We are recording on Thursday, so they will have played their first game whenever you are listening. So if you're interested at all, maybe go and check out online and see if you can find out how they did. We will try to remember to check how they've done and come back on the next podcast. If we don't blame us. We don't do continuity here.
We'll just need to now make the next podcast script and the document and put that in there straight away, straight after this pod. That's what we're going to do.
Oh, you can watch it live?
What?
Sorry, I'm on their website, so you can watch them. So their first game is against the Caribbean, and you can watch it live.
What time?
It says 5 p.m., but I'm assuming that's 5 p.m. in
It's going to be like
Miami.
2 a.m.
Miami. But yeah, it's just a.
It's going to be 2 a.m. and I have a 12-and-a-half-week-old baby. That's not happening.
Well, you'll be awake anyway, is what you're saying. You're going to be awake anyway, so you might as well watch it.
I'll be honest, Isla sleeps like an absolute angel. She'll go to bed at 11 and up at 5. This is now the parenting hour with Door 14 Hockey. Move us on, Aaron. Move us on.
So this really, I don't think this is a story. I think this is a hint from Marty.
I think it is.
So Marty has uploaded a link to a home in our Alberta. It's only $3.8 million. So I think does he know that we're about to get a sponsorship deal that I don't know about?
Sure, by the time you do the exchange rate, that's only what, 30 quid or something, surely.
I wish. So and the tagline is shared Door 14 winter home. So he thinks that the Door 14 family, all of us, are going to go to Alberta in America for the winter to this nearly further
north, mate. Canada.
What did I say?
America.
Sorry.
Sorry, North America. North America. Same continent.
Oh, sorry.
Has anybody seen it's a random thing, but like the shower?
Well, first, before we get to the shower, let's explain why Marty shared it. So it's 4 million, but it includes an ice hockey rink, pool, and 7 bedrooms. I think that Marty probably wanted us to talk about having a home and a cinema. Probably wanted us to talk about having a home with an ice hockey rink rather than look at this shower in this insane house.
Have a look at it.
Can we actually just talk about one thing that I've noticed in these photos? So not only is this house in Alberta, it's obviously we have the Battle of Alberta, which is between the Edmonton Oilers and the Calgary Flames. This house is in Calgary, or clearly close to Calgary. Has anyone noticed the one thing that's slightly out of place for a house in Calgary, and they clearly know which way the wind is blowing with the Saddle Dome, as we discussed earlier on? There is a lovely Oilers blanket or towel over somebody's lovely PC gaming chair in their bedroom. So clearly, Calgary have lost the Battle of Alberta in this home. It's absolutely stunning.
Oh, there's a bar.
There's everything. Yeah, there's a pool table.
If it's your home, you have to stock it. It's not like it's just you buy the house and there's a guy standing there going to serve you drinks.
If you can afford to pay 1.8 million, I'm sure you can afford to have a guy stand there and serve you drinks.
It's not 1.8, it's 3.8.
3.8, sorry, 3.8.
3.8.
Yeah,
so you can have 3.8 barmen.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for the podcasts in the wintertime, because apparently, based on what Marty is sharing here, we are going to be doing it from Canada.
There's a Bon Jovi gold record in the cinema. What the hell?
This is worse than Property Pal.
You're looking at the random things. All I'm saying is our next podcast, once Marty buys this place for us, is definitely coming from the sauna.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a sauna. There's
pizza oven.
I think I've got
Dutch oven.
Pizza oven.
Pizza.
Okay. It's like that's something else.
Right, I'm moving us on. We're moving on to the stars segment. Even though I think this is probably going to be the shortest stars. Do we have a title slide for the stars? Dave? Hit it, Dave.
Do I have a title slide for the stars?
Marty, we really need you.
I don't think we do. Do we? I genuinely don't think we've ever used that before. Marty, please come back. I can't hack this hosting thing anymore.
John, do you want to take the good old stars? I think it's probably going to be the shortest stars ever.
I think it
we're
will
all
be.
in agreement. but go for it.
Look, we've had a couple where we've all agreed. Certainly, the last episode, we all 100% agreed that our star was Ethan McLean, based on his outstanding performance as number 14 for the Belfast Giants. And yet again, guys, we are sticking with our teal tinted spectacles. Marty got in there first on the running order before he went off on his holidays, and I've just jumped on his coattails and absolutely seconded it. We talked about it earlier on. Given his outstanding performance between the pipes for the Belfast Giants in CHL action on Sunday, we are clearly going to go with our netminder, Peyton Jones. Guys, absolute I don't beast. Know if we need to... Yeah, I don't know that we need to discuss it anymore. I think we've used all the superlatives before we got stuck in to the podcast. And then when we were chatting about the CHL in period 1, absolutely stood in his head and is by any means the worthy recipient of the Door 14 star this time. What I will say is an honourable mention for me would go to Kevin Reen.
Yeah. I'm sure Peyton Jones has been sitting up waiting to find out if he's our star or not. So he can sleep peacefully now.
Peyton breath.
He absolutely has. And once again, I'm going to put Marty forward that at the next game, I'm sure that Marty will take that star down to the locker room and we'll be sure to get the photo with Peyton Jones with the Door 14 star.
One of these days, we're going to be able to do it.
One of these days. One of these days. How is anyone else like super excited to see how, like, if that's how he played on that game, like the rest of the season, like if that's the skill that we're gonna see, I'm just super excited.
I'm looking forward to seeing how he fared. He obviously fares really well against, or fared really well against the sort of opposition that we saw in that Trinec side, which had NHL, KHL, international experience. They were stacked. Mm-hmm. Then you put them up against the likes of, well, this weekend, the Fife Flyers. How does he compete against them? I do think we're looking. Yeah, they are. Yeah, absolutely. I do.
Do you think is there a mentality thing there that, like, the one thing we talked about earlier was that we loved that Jones was amazing, stood on his head and saved a lot of goals, but also the defense, as you say, Reen as well. You know, just they were there constantly because they were on edge. They knew that they were playing that caliber of team. Are you worried? Are you bringing up the Flyers because are you worried that they're going to go? It's Flyers.
No. Look, I was saying that tongue in cheek. Look, I take nothing.
He's away again.
Really? Oh my goodness! Hang on.
Marty's camera never falls.
Marty's not using a back. Do you know what? Never mind this. Let's just hang on. Bear with me. Let's just go back to the horrible FaceTime camera. There we go. Right, it's terrible. The mic's right in front of me because I was set up for the other camera. It doesn't matter. We're just going to bleach on here. Right. I said the Flyers. It was tongue in cheek. Because the Fife Flyers are not CHL, like they're not. But that's not to be disparaging of Elite League. What I think we have in Peyton Jones is another netminder of the quality of Tyler Beskorowany. I think we have a netminder of the quality of Shane Owen. But let's not forget, Fife Flyers have a netminder the quality of Shane Owen because they have Shane Owen. What they don't have is the rest of the team. And let's not make any... You're 100% right, Aaron. That performance in the CHL was a full team performance. It was put together, a fully put together game, 65 minutes plus shootout from up and down the roster. But again, this team that stacked and did so well against Trinec is coming up against Fife Flyers. I would not be surprised to see 2 shutouts over this weekend, if I'm being totally honest, because I don't think the Flyers may be better than they've been. I don't know, because to be honest, I haven't paid any attention, even though they're just 15 minutes down the road. But they're certainly not CHL quality teams. That's just the reality of it. So it will be interesting. Not enough for me to put any money on 2 shutouts, though. Sorry.
Well, one thing that it's always interesting when it comes to quality netminding is some quality netminders struggle when they're not getting a lot of shots, and when they're not getting 30 shots a night on them. They're getting 20, 16. That's flipping the number per period drops through the floor, and then you can end up with a cold goalie taking, trying to see it make a couple of saves, and then that can go south quick. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yep, 100%.
Me and Marty were actually talking about this on the way out of the CHL, and it was you can also not sustain that level of compete over the full 50 whatever games it is in the Elite League that we did in that CHL, because just physically will just drain the life out of you, and you wouldn't have the resources of those bigger clubs, extra bodies sitting at ready in the wings to fill spots. So yeah, another thing to take into consideration.
Yep,
fair.
Definitely.
Fair.
Guys, we are on to overtime. Dave, do we have an overtime slide?
No.
Ah,
oh no, we do.
This podcast is an absolute cluster.
I think it's really fun.
it's because it goes so it go period number 4, period 3, number 6, the star, then number 5, 6, then 5. I don't know why. The penalty box, and then back up to 7.
It's because the penalty box is used in multiple ones. Anyway, this is more behind the scenes stuff that we don't need to get into. Guys, we're in overtime. There's only one thing that I've thrown into overtime this time around, and all I want to do is to wish a belated now, but based on our recording, I want to wish a happy birthday to the one and only Belfast Giants retired number 14, Ethan McLean, who yesterday turned 14. So happy birthday, Ethan. We hope you had a fantastic day. And from everything that we've seen online, it looks like you did. Oh, good. Well, that was an eventful podcast.
We got there. We got to the end.
We got there.
Polished.
We got there. You can only polish a turd so much. Guys, all that's left for me to say is if you want to get in touch with us at all with anything that we've talked about in this podcast, or anything that you want to put in a future podcast, anything you think that we need to know about, you can catch us on all of our socials, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are on TikTok. We've got one video on TikTok, but we literally made it just so that nobody else could take the name, because people are clamoring for that Door14 username.
I'm telling you.
You'll find us at Door14 Hockey on all those platforms. And you can check out all of our old podcasts, our back catalogue, and you can check out all the links and stories to everything that we chatted about on this episode on door14hockey.com. Guys, that's it for another week. I've been John.
I'm Dave.
I'm Aaron.
And as Marty says, have a week.